This is Red, White, and Bluegrass.
By now, many of us have seen images of the widespread protests happening across the country in response to the Trump administration's immigration policies. Los Angeles has been the epicenter of the demonstrations and has led to a political back and forth between Governor Gavin Newsom and President Trump over National Guard authority and the overall right response, even leading to threats to arrest those leaders if they hamper deportation efforts. Governor Beshear offered his comments on the demonstrations during this week's Team Kentucky.
I believe that border security is national security. And I believe that illegal immigration is illegal and our laws have to be enforced. But how you go about enforcing those laws is also important. And people should think about the look and the feel of a military type vehicle pulling up in your neighborhood in the middle of the night and people jumping out in black masks and grabbing someone.
A demonstration was also held Saturday in a nationwide No Kings movement in response to a military parade being held to celebrate the Army and the President's birthday. Due to our Friday afternoon taping, we have no way of knowing just how those demonstrations turned out. So, Representative Bray, I want to start with you here. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I've heard many Republicans at least characterize that Kentucky is a border state. Do you feel that way, and why?
Listen, after the last 4 years, every state's a border state. You know, when we look at conservative estimates at 9 million illegal immigrants over the last 4 years, as high as 20 million, it's impacted every community across the state. When we look at crime, when you look at auto accidents, when you look at a lot of different things, every state's become a border state, and Kentucky's not immune to that.
Representative Camuel, your thoughts on that, and overall how these movements have come together? Do you think it's organic?
I do think that they've been organic movements, to be sure, and actually I agree with what the governor said in his speech about that, about what it looks like, what it feels like, the amount of fear that is coming in, or that it's creating. I think it also leads to poor mental health outcomes when we're just driven and guided by fear. And so I think Kentucky, I'm not sure that I necessarily agree that we're a border state, so to speak, but one of my biggest concerns coming out of this is chronic absenteeism in our schools. We do have families who are here through the legal channels and are protected, but they're afraid to send their kids to school. So that is having an impact on education for our students. But I also have serious concerns for our farmers, the rural areas, construction, where we have typically seen immigrants come in and do the hard labor. So I'm concerned for our soybean farmers. I'm concerned about building projects. We've got all these great new companies coming in, but we've got to make sure that we have people here and that we're seen as a place where people can come, live, work, and earn an income and be safe.
What do you all think about the value of these protests and their longevity in the long run in terms of actually impacting anything? Do you think that there could be a different way that is more effective in terms of making a point to an administration that you may disagree with?
Yeah, peaceful protest works. What we're seeing in California is not peaceful protest. When you start lighting cars on fire, throwing bricks at police officers, you know, we lived through that during 2020. You know, we're not going back to that. So, you know, people have a First Amendment right to peacefully protest. But then looking at President Trump, he was also given a mandate by the American people. He ran on securing the border and deporting illegal immigrants, and that's what he's doing. The American people, this is what they voted for. You know, when you look at the polling data on it, this is what, you know, this is an 80-20 issue. And so peacefully protest, absolutely. Don't get out and burn. Don't get out and burn things in the street or shut down businesses or loot like we've seen. What we're seeing in California is not acceptable, and I hope it doesn't make its way to Kentucky.
What do you think there, Representative Camuel?
Well, just in trying to be a little lighthearted about it, it sounds almost like a UK win when they burn couches in the street. But no, peaceful protest, I think, is something that is one of the most effective tools that people have to hear their voices heard. And again, I support the anyone who wants to go out and march or hold a rally or say what they have as their First Amendment right. You know, as far as violent protests, I am not 100% sure of exactly what's happening in California because I see competing information coming out. So I'm not there, I'm not on the ground. And so I hope that the events that come through Kentucky or that Kentuckians participate in, I hope they're peaceful, but also hope the message gets across.